to the game. We're so excited. Everybody's been like, where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? I've been hit up every other day. I still get hit up. And they're like, hey, man, what happened to Danny? What happened to Danny? So here we are. What's going on, man? Somebody got your channel. You can't go under hauling cash, right? Because they sneak the shit. So you're going under what? What are you going under now?
Yeah, so it's going to be the real hauling cash because clicking this link, do this, and then you just add a sentence at the bottom of it and say this is not in any way associated to Danny out of hauling covered 6 or any of this shit, and all of a sudden it's legit. And so I was like, man, like, all right, well, we'll just have to come back and hit them the right way and see what happens and go from there.
I'm excited to have you back, man. I know we talk off camera all the time. We're good friends, and you come down here, we've met up and stuff. And just, I know that you were going through some stuff that you wanted to do differently. Sometimes your heart just falls out of it and you're like, fuck it, I've been there, done that, man. And, you're doing different things now. And I love the energy. We're just talking off camera about what's next and what's going on. You don't want to give them too much, but you want to kind of see where you're going. So with the channel and the content that you had before, what are you going to be telling the people now? What's the goal with the channel now?
Dude, so like we were talking about the channel before, as business got more stressful, inundated with more crap, right? Like the focus of the channel, what it started out to be ended up going into like this deep transformation into like random long-winded lives and like over the top freaking just random sporadic like topics, dude, that had nothing to do with anything. And I was just like, this is not what I intended this channel to be. So going back into it, a lot of it now is going to be just really honed in. Like I'm going to take I think the channel's up, but the channel's going to take probably a month and a half before it really starts kicking out real information. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be, I'm getting all of these things prepared to just sit out legitimate video. So if you go to the channel and you go into like the playlist section of that channel, everything's broken down by subject. It's broken down by content type. It's broken down by, what this is. If you want to go into insurance, here's a section of 10 videos we've done on insurance, right? And then into factoring and into load boards, into trucks. And I won't dive in. I don't want to dive too deep in the weeds with things like, equipment and truck types and all that, because there's so much like, so many difference of opinions when it comes to that it almost doesn't, you can't nail down and borderline. Like I want to give you fact. I don't want to give you anything else other than the facts. And then the idea is just to make it a channel where it's a resource, right? And so if in the event that you go onto a channel and you're trying to find information, right, it should be a resource hub, right? So you can just say, hey, look, hit the channel. They've got a video on it, guaranteed. Like they've got coverage on it, guaranteed. And it being strategically placed to be just factual information. So if you want the like nitty gritty, no shit, here's the facts, boom. Which was, not for nothing. I mean, I didn't start my channel that way. I kind of started my channel like on a journey of like driving a truck and like working through my own problems and where it ends up, I was giving guys a lot of information I knew. Then I found like a lot of people wanted that information, but I didn't have it. And then what I see now is everybody takes that information, packages it into some stupid training guide, and then tries to sell it to somebody as a course and say, okay, well, if you do this, like they're giving you public information, right? But they're putting it in a course and charging $1 bazillion fucking dollars for it.
Right.
And so it's like,
you go learn on your own unless you really get into the nitty gritty, the important shit that works. The rest of it's just, it's on YouTube for free. Like the stuff me and you put out, you can go get it.
Yeah, and so that's essentially what I'm gonna do with the channel now is just, and then make it to where it's a structured thing, right? Like videos that are not gonna be fucking an hour long, like, you know what I mean? Like stuff that you can go get, the nitty gritty. I need to know this, or hey, no shit, I'm in this situation. I need the answer within 5 minutes. And there was a lot of stuff that I was getting calls on for questions about certain things where I'm like, I know I have a video on that, but the information's so buried in this video that's an hour long that by the time you get to it, it's probably going to be past the time you actually need it. And so that's the idea, is just to come at it revamped with a lot more structure. And then obviously, given that I'm not actively having to do all these other things I was doing at the time, I can focus my energy on it. And so that's the intent, is to give it like direct to the people kind of shit.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited for that, man. So that's your goals and where you're going to take it and kind of give people. It's going to be a little bit shorter form content, right? So they don't have to go through the long form stuff. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. More direct to the point, meat and potatoes type of shit versus the fluff that we all try to add to it or we get lost in.
Yeah, dude, because you can get lost in it quick.
Oh yeah.
It gets so ridiculous.
So that's that. But like, how you been, man? It's been a while. I mean, for the people, right? I mean, we've had quite a few talks on and off, and I know where you're at and what you were doing and what was going on. But how you been, man? As far as the guy, you know what I mean? As far as just what's going on, and of course we're gonna have to get into the question eventually because everybody's gonna fucking ask you what happened to the company, what are you doing, that kind of thing. But we'll get into that stuff. But how you been, man?
Yeah, I'm better now. Like, I'm recovered.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I'm recovering. I'm not fully recovered, but I'm certainly like doing better. But yeah, I mean, now, dude, I'm just peaceful, like chill. There's none of that, man. No drama, no smoke, no fluff. Just chill.
Yeah,
hanging out.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you're in a good place. It gets stressful, dude. I mean, I've been there. Like last year, like we were just talking off camera, but last year we did like 6 million, close to 60 trucks and some change, and now we're like less than half of that, and a completely restructuring. And to go from that level to this level is like a mental mind fuck. You know what I mean? So I know what you're going through. I mean, we're hanging on like, and I'm not afraid to admit it or talk about it to anybody. We're hanging on like everybody else by our fucking fingernails. And that's just what it is. And not everybody's able to say that. A lot of guys are not still here doing it, swinging for the fences. You just was like, we could make it. We're doing it. You called me like, hey, I could keep doing this, but I fucking hate it. Today, I'm like, you're like, I'm fucking tired. I know you had it was like what I had happen years ago before I got into the owner op game. And you had the trucks just break down, and big breakdowns. And when you start having motors and transmissions, it's like, you just go crazy, man. It's like you wake up and you're just like, I'm going to fuck this phone. I don't even want to answer it because it's bad news. You know what I mean?
And that's it. That's exactly where it got from.
That's what it is, right? I mean, you're like, I remember one time I was sitting there, it was around like New Year's or something, and we had a big snow up north. And I had literally 5 trucks slide in a ditch in the same fucking day, dude. And they were all company trucks. And they were like, hey, man, slid off in a ditch. I'm like, all right. First one, it wasn't bad. I was like, okay, shit happens. Second one, I was like, motherfucker, you guys need to be pulling over. Third one, I was like, hey, just pull over. Whatever. He goes down the road a little bit. Now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make it to this next truck stop, whatever. Slide off in the day. Hey, man, I need a tow truck. And I was like, son of a, you know what I mean? Like, this is getting expensive. I told my wife, I said, I'm not answering the phone anymore because if I answer it one more time, it's going to cost me $5,000. I'm not, we're already to the max of what we can afford to fucking deal with. So, another one and then another one. And then I had actually the last 2 were owner operators and they were just like, I don't have the money to deal with this. And I'm stuck. Like the load, I'm stuck. We're stuck. I'm slid sideways. I didn't damage anything, but I'm off the road. You know what I mean? I'm like, shit. So we had to get tow trucks, and then it's they have to sit there and wait, and it's a whole deal, and it's not cheap when it's blizzard conditions. So that one day was like a $25,000 fucking day for you guys that want to be in at this fleet level and do that shit. And he knows what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? He knows. He's subject to it. He's been there, done that. So. Getting to that point, like you're in a good place now. You're ready to relaunch. We talked about where the channel's going. I'm so fucking excited, and I'm glad that you came here as the first place to talk about what you got going on and where you're going. But what happened, man? We have to answer the question. Everybody's like, that's gonna be the first question in the fucking comments. What happened?
Oh yeah, I mean, we ended up having all the motor problems, and we had just rebuilt the motors in one of the trucks, and I got a phone call, truck's on the side of the road, injector failure. It's another, like the shop was like, oh, it's 3, maybe 4 injectors. We're not sure if it's split to the other rail. Like, we're not sure what's going on. And I was like, okay. I was like, get it diagnosed. Let me figure out what's happening. Let's keep working through it. And they brought news back, and I mean, their quotes were somewhere in like the $15,000 range, to touch it again. And I'm like, dude, like we just spent this money on this rebuild. And, I looked at it and I said, you know what? Okay. Let me think about it. Of course, I got the driver home immediately because I'm like, dude, it's going to be a long-term thing. I know. And so I was like, let me just think about it. Let me see what we're going to do. So in the midst of, trying to do logistically, getting him home, doing all these other things, trying to move things around, I went through the numbers and just looked at like, how long is it going to take to recapture? How long does it take to recapture and get back to, where we're turning quality ROI? Like when do we get there?
Right.
And when I looked and we were at 5-year mark, 7-year mark, somewhere in there. And I'm like, that's 5 to 7 years provided nothing else happens right now.
Right.
And, then I looked at it more from a mental health well-being mindset, because dude, when I dove in. Like I dove into brokerage, logistics, dispatching, trucking, leasing, consulting,
everything.
YouTube, like everything. And my days were consisting of like up at 5, back down at maybe 1, up at 4, back down at 11, like constantly. Like I was catching 4, maybe 5 hours here and there, 4, maybe 5 hours. And I just got to a point where I'm like, dude, I'm like, I noticed it when I went to the dawning moment. I went into my shed in my backyard, and I went in there for something, and I don't know what it was. And I walked in there, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, just staring at my workbench. Like I was just staring at my workbench. And my wife was outside, and she comes over, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I have no idea why I'm in here.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea why I'm here. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just can't think of it. And I was literally so far gone with how many things I was managing and mind you, I had no team, right? I had a dispatcher, and I had really good quality drivers, which were like really communicative and like helpful, but like I had no team for me. And so it got to a point where I was just like, bro, I'm done. Like I am tired of pushing this sled up this hill over and over and over again and being the only one pushing it. And then, hindsight being what it is, right? Like you see all the key details from like that speaker board view where you're like, ooh, yeah, I should have moved there.
Right.
And so I saw that in hindsight, man. And I said, okay, like it makes more sense now to close this thing than it does to try to keep pushing this thing. And it's not benefiting me. It's not pushing me anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kept me away from home. It's kept me away from the kids. It's kept me where if I was home with the kids, I was still mentally checked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I told my wife, I'm like, I see my kids, but I have no idea what the hell they're doing because I'm gone with work mentally, just gone. And so I made a decision. I was like, hey, like, this is no good. Like my well-being was trashed. And I'm like, I'm just not doing this anymore. So I made a decision, called an attorney, and was talking to them and said, dude, just close it, whatever it takes.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't think, and then some people in the comments will probably say, oh, like, because you didn't run a good business, whatever. That has nothing to do with it, because I know you well, and I know you're a smart dude, and you had the details covered. We had many talks, and I'm like, dude, I got like fucking 10 people in the operations side. And you're like, once I get there, but I'm like, I don't know how you fucking do it, because you were literally doing it all yourself, and it gets to a point where you're like, what, dude, between dispatch, credit checks, this, that, factoring, invoicing, payroll, fucking, hiring, YouTube, consulting, like all this, and you were doing killing it and executing really well at the level that you were, and your business was profitable. It was just like, by the time you factor in the downtime and the depreciation on equipment and the breakdowns, and then you're like, we're profitable today, but long term, this shit is not gonna. And that's what happened to me. I almost went out of business my first time, and I was just like, I'm making a couple grand a week, but I'm in debt with these trucks. I'm in debt with this. I'm in debt with that. And people don't think about that. And like, I'm not happy. I don't give a fuck. Like we've talked about this. I don't give a fuck how much money it is. If I'm not happy, I'm not fucking doing it. If I literally wake up and I'm like, I like dread this shit, like, fuck, dude, I don't even want to answer the phone today. Then that's when I'm like, click, I'm off. Turn the motherfucker. I don't care how much it is. I don't care if it's making fucking 20 grand a week, 50 grand a week. It's like, turn it off. I don't want to fucking do it. I'm going to do something else. And that happened to me in my construction business too. I had probably 6 months worth of work on the books, promised a bunch of people I was going to finish their work that I already sold. I didn't take deposit stuff, but just like they were on the books and they were like, I don't want to work with anybody else because we got to where we're doing high-end work. And I just was like, dude, fuck it, I'm moving to Florida. I hate this shit. Every day I wake up, I fucking hate employees. I hate doing this. And I just told my secretary one day, I was like, call them all, tell them we're getting somebody else. We're not fucking doing it. And she was like, no, I have people come in the office every day. You promised to do this shit because they only want you. They don't want anybody else in town. And it was a small town. I was like, I don't care. Tell them I'm fucking closing doors. I don't want to do it. And people call me. What do you mean you're not going to do it? You're going to make money. What do you mean you don't like money? I'm like, it has nothing to do with money. I don't want to fucking do it no more. You know?
Right.
And that's,
well, and I got to a point, bro. Like I got to a point where it was like, dude, I hated it. Like I got to a point where I woke up one day and I was in that mood where I was like, I don't want to see a single thing that says trucking, reminds me of trucking, is trucking, nothing. Like I was so upset with dealing with it. And like I told you, man, like I treat it like it's like your kid, right? Imagine having an infant child that you love to death and they become terminally ill and they have to, like, they're going to pass. And then as those days get closer, because you're looking at your financials and it's like, okay, so here was the option, right? So, and this is where I give this like metaphor to this, because like I could put the child, you could put the child on life support, right? Keep them on a breathing machine for the rest of their life and they'll live, right? They'll live. And I could have done that. I could have gone out and gotten capital. I could have gone and gotten investments. I could have gone and reached out and sold part of the company and brought in some ownership and partners and revamped it and whatever. And I could have kept it living. But like at the end of the day, it still doesn't change the fact that like this kid's not going to go run. They're not going to go play soccer. They're not going to be a young, not going to be growing up into anything. And then that's kind of where I was with the trucking thing. Was I was like, dude, like this is not going to pan out to more than the struggle it is today. And do I like, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell it all because I don't want to deal with the stress levels of it. And I was getting calls, bro. I tell people, every time you call me, it's bad news. Like, when do you call me and it's good?
right.
And so I had a day where I was just like, I'm going to turn everything off. And I did. I turned everything off. I just paused it, right? Just paused everything. And then it got worse, bro, because I was getting that point of like, there we go. I'm coming back in.
All right.
So, yeah, you get like that. You get that point of like depression, right? Like you get to a point of like, not necessarily just like hopelessness, but you get to the point where you're just bitter as shit. You're tired. And so I got to that point and I was just like, I remember I was like, I'd come home and to go to bed, like, because I knew I couldn't go to bed, I'd drink. And I'm going to drink something, take my edge off, go to bed. And it got to a point where it was like, that's what I was doing every single night. It became a habit. And it's like, bro, I enjoy a whiskey. I can drink and hang out.
Who doesn't? Everybody loves a fucking whiskey. Everybody loves a beer.
But I don't do that all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not a heavy drinker. And so I noticed I was doing that. And then I was just sitting there thinking like, dude, I'm doing all this to like keep myself sane with this crap. And so I got to a point where I paused everything initially. And I was like, if you're going to pause it, just man the fuck up and delete it. Like if you're going to do it, just take it out. And so that's when I did it. And I was just like, delete truck stop, delete this, delete this, delete this. Like, and then I got into YouTube and I'm like, fuck it, delete.
It's like, fuck it. It
is. It's 100% that way. It's like, I want to be free of all of the binds. Like I don't want any binding.
Yep.
And so I let that go. And then I went on like not even like people call it like the journey, but I went on I went on a me moment, bro. Like I was gone. I took a random job doing like, being gone and working. But then I realized I looked back at that and I was like, bro, I'm still gone again.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing I'm not fixing it. And so I randomly quit those people, like randomly.
Yeah.
And I came home and I just spent like the better part of 2 months just like, nope, I'm not doing shit. I'm going to chill with my family. I'm going to cook fucking dinner. I'm going to be home. I'm going to love my kids. I'm going to watch them go to school. I'm going to help them get out the door in the mornings, whatever. And then, that just brought me to peace, man. And it brought me to where I could think again. It got me to where I could just see what I'm doing again.
And then that got me to where I was just like, bro, I'm happy. Like I don't,
Yep.
the money, like you were talking, the money means nothing. And I was like, I was telling my wife, man, we were laughing about it because we were watching the savings account just all the way because I'm taking all this time off, you know? And she's like, hey, what are you not, you're not nervous about none of this? And I said, no, it's going to all work out.
Right.
And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I've never seen you this calm about anything financial. And I'm like, bro, I just don't care. Like, I know it's going to be okay. Like, I'm not worried about it. And so I just kind of let all that stress go, man. Like, it ate me up, dude. It ate me up. And probably because I moved as fast as I moved. I mean, from me to 9 employees and $1.5 million in revenue in a year. And it's like,
yeah, you did it faster than I did it. I had a lot of people don't think about that. I had a lot of years of fuck up to build up to $1 million a year. You know what I mean? We wasn't just like you did it in like a year, like boom, we're a fucking whole bunch of money, a bunch of trucks and a bunch of shit. I didn't do that. I was like, you know, I tried like a motherfucker. I just didn't have the right knowledge, I wasn't for lack of trying because I was out there every day trying to fucking, you know, buy more trucks, buy more trailers, build this company. And it took me years. And then in that time, like literally the turning point was like, I'm going bankrupt tomorrow. This is over. Like the fucking insurance ain't getting paid. Everything's fucked. I need a mentor, you know, like I'm sitting there every day, just like contemplating life. Like how did I fuck this up? I had this $1 million construction company and I started this, put all my eggs in one basket and it went to shit. You know what I mean? And then I was like, I'm not going to let this do this. You know, I decided to go and then it just blew up and I just decided to get more knowledge, more mentorship, more, you know, learning new ways. The way I was doing shit was not the right way. And that's kind of where I was at right now. Like, when we went down from the, you know, I think I took it as big as you can take it with fucking load boards, right? Like with not having direct customers, 60 fucking trucks. Who does that? You know, I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, maybe the foreigners or something doing it where they don't have them all on the insurance and doing it right. But I took it as big as I think you can take it using load boards and, you know, get kicked in the balls when the market falls out and things happen. So I am creatively using that time of what I used to, you know, produce all this work every day and all this money just to reinvent myself. Cause I'm like, hey, well, I'm at the bottom again. Or what I mean, obviously I have the, you know, $500,000 house. I got the 26 acres or, you know, cars, all the shit, the boats, the jet. I still have all the shit. And a lot of my shit's paid for and I'm happy. I'm in a good place, but I'm still like, man, I fucked up. How can I improve?
Nah, that's what you're doing the right thing though, bro. You've lost weight. You cut out the bullshit. Right. Which I'm still in the process of doing. Right. I gained 115 pounds in like 4 years of business ownership.
Yeah. Being in these fucking trucks. People don't think about it.
Sitting there, you know what I mean? And then, so like I'm running all the time now and getting myself and training for things and you're doing the same thing. Like the weight reduction, the loss, like you doing what I call the Debo talks, like just riding your little squeaky bicycle and talking on the freaking thing and just venting your bullshit, you know? And that's the thing, like you doing that is exactly what I was doing, but you're doing it in a way that I think is probably from a little bit more experience, having gone through that, right? Like you've already been through the business ownership. So maybe you're a little bit more calloused to when things start to blow up. Your flame doesn't hit the roof immediately. It kind of goes mid-level.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, it was one of those things that, dude, I just remember like, I got to a point where like I was talking to people on YouTube and when I closed it, there was like I was telling you, there was just like an outpouring of love from people that were like, where are you at? What'd you do? What happened? Where are you going to be? What's going on? And then even in that mindset though, I still wasn't like, I couldn't process anything anybody was saying to me. And I was just like, bro, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I know you care and I appreciate it and whatever. But like I was telling you, I told one of my people, like one of my good friends that I didn't really confide in all the time with my bullshit. And I remember speaking to them and being like, talking to them right on the edge of me making the decision to like jump and like close it all. And I remember telling them like, dude, I'm debating closing YouTube. I'm debating closing the company. I'm debating closing everything. Right. And their response to me was, let me know when you close the YouTube, I'll buy your subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll
First,
buy
I'm
your
trying to
channel.
like tell you to build it back up or save it for a rainy day or whatever. You know, I know when we talked, I was just like, well, you know, hang on to it because you never know. And dude, I've been there. Fuck them, delete the whole. I've been there. I'm the same way. That's why,
Yeah.
like, when you came out here the one time I came to Florida and like we were supposed to film a bunch of content and do a bunch of stuff, we kind of just fucked off because we became really good friends. We were just like, man, this dude's because I was expecting like a YouTuber. I wasn't expecting just a cool, genuine dude. And then you know, it just worked out. I don't even think we filmed any fucking content the whole time you were here.
No,
It was supposed to. We had all this shit. Then we just like went fishing and fucked off. And you know, we really wanted to like gauge that, you know. But I think we both learned a lot from each other, and we always called and talked like, what's the best way? Sometimes, man, fuck it. That's it, man. Do what you want to do that makes you happy because that's all. At the end of the day, it's all fucking matters, man. You know, this shit, stress. Like when I had these 60 fucking trucks, dude, I was stressed, and then I had, you know, people on the payroll, more people that I was responsible for. And I think, you know, God gives you what you can handle. If you can't fucking handle it, you know, at that moment, you go back to the level that you can. And then when you're ready for it, you can, whatever. But like you said, you know, tolerance to it or whatever, or stress and how fast you fucking blew up so fast. Not everybody is ready for that. And you handled it really well. You did. I mean, you know.
Oh, no, I mean, I think we did okay, bro. I just wish I had the, like, I mean, I see where you're at now and how you've handled it. Like you're handling the situation with the market, the conditions, the trucks, the people.
It sucks every day. It fucking sucks every day. I do the best I can to just make the best of it, you know?
Well, but you're also, like I said, man, it's having that calloused experience from before running a business, right? You get a callousness after doing it. And, you know, it got to a point where for me, bro, like if I'm not hard into it, balls to the wall, like if I don't love it, or if I don't feel what I'm doing, if I'm not like enjoying the fucking shit I'm doing every day, I just don't give a damn. Like I won't do it, you know? And so it got to a point where I was falling off on stuff that like I was missing opportunities that I should have been catching. And it was just because I didn't care. Like I remember just laying in bed in the morning and like knowing that I had to go do stuff. And I'm like, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn.
Talk about that because I know you did all the things right. Like you had the right leverage. You weren't over leveraged. I know how good you are with money and numbers and shit. And like, I know how good you are with like thinking like militantly, you know, you have the military background and stuff too, but just thinking about like, oh, I'm move there. I'm gonna fuck up, step wrong, whatever. But that, and then we would have long talks about, you know, like just the type of equipment, you knew trucks pretty damn okay. And you know, as well as I do probably. And then like, you know what a good driver looks like, you know what a good load looks like. You went into the brokerage forefront sales side of it. You know, you had the consulting side helping people, but also using that, you know, like the carrier side, you had a good rating with brokers. You guys did good legal, moral, ethical business. So you were doing 99% of the things right. Like I am, right? And you just wake up one day and you're just like, man, this shit sucks. And it does. Cause I tell people all the time, you get in this shit, not even know if you like it. And trucking is not like it's not roses every day. I don't lie to owner ops when they call me like, oh, you know, I'm like, dude, some days it just fucking sucks. And I think that's anything, dude. Some days you're taking it on the chin and it's smile and take it right there. You know what I mean? That's it. It is, right?
And you don't realize how little control, like you want to have control of your business, right? You want to have like a real good handle on yourself and what your vision is and what the goal is. And you don't realize how little control you have. Like you have no idea, you know, how little, and that's the thing as a business owner is like, it was shocking to me, like how little impact I as an owner would have on the day. And it was like, I almost kind of felt like a bag, like a punching bag, just hanging from a chain in a gym, waiting for somebody to come over there and decide that's the one I'm going to beat to death today. And like, dude, I would get smoked. And
dude,
like,
my nephew has a saying because I help my nephew build his company. He's got it up around 20 trucks. Plus he has a dispatch service with like 45 trucks. And he tells me every day, I'm like, how you doing? He's like, oh, you know, I wore my cup today and got kicked in the balls a few times and that was okay. But the one time I went like this and dodged, I got punched in the fucking throat. You're like,
that's right. That's exactly right. That's how it feels. I mean,
every day.
Well, and at the end of it, man, like I realized, like the way I looked at it was this. Okay, I was stressed to the max. Okay, And I've got some demons that haunt me from the old military days here and there, but they don't flare up very often. I've kept that pretty locked and key for a long time. And what ends up happening though is when you start to dive into like traumatic shit, right? When you're dealing with a bunch of stress and bullshit, and you're at that, that fuck it phase in life where you're just, because I'm notorious for it. I've been notorious for it in the past where I've like, whether it was relationships or friendships or whatever, where you just like, you get one sniff of shit and you're like, you know what, burn it all.
Yeah.
And you just Johnny on the spot, tear it all down. And, I got to that point where I was just like, yo, like, I'm at this point where I'm ready to burn it all to the ground. And then all these other things, like when you get to that mindset, you start diving off in that darkness, all the shit that lives there that you've put there is still there. Yeah. And so like, I was starting to deal with all that. And I was like, bro, that in combination with my business stuff was all hitting me at the same time. And I was just like, yo, I need a break. Like I need mental clarity and I'm not getting it. And then my kids, bro, like I would see my kids and it's like, I never paid it. You didn't have time. Because the moment I'd be sitting there working with my kids or something, my phone would blow up. I'd turn my phone off or turn it on silent. Text message coming. Instagram coming.
People don't realize that takes discipline though, because we're so like the business is always, you're thinking like, so it's hard to give that mental time to your family and your kids because you're always thinking like, what's going on with like, why is he calling me this late at night? You know what I mean? Like there must be something wrong. There must be, and then so half the time, sometimes there is something wrong. Sometimes they just want to fucking, bullshit or whatever. And you don't want to be that bad boss. But, and I heard something the other day, like it was something I was reading and it was like, don't respond so fast when it's not urgent, because you teach people how to interact with you on the phones, Exactly. And so I'm thinking like that now. It's like, I don't have to respond to these guys so fast. That's always been like a proud thing for me. Like I want to get on top, but some of it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. And you're like, it for what? Why are you bothering me? We all have to have a family life and otherwise what the fuck are we doing it for? Well,
and then we get to a point, man, where like people knew me through so many channels. And because I was running a business, accessing me on YouTube, accessing me on Facebook, accessing me on my text messages, accessing me through phone calls or, whatever. And it wouldn't be just them, right? So it wouldn't be just a driver. Sometimes it would be a factor or it would be an invoice or it'd be a banker or it'd be whatever, right? Just calling because, and you get to a point where it's like, you get to a point where everybody's conversation to you all the time is so overstimulating to your entire system where you're just like, bro, I don't fucking care what you want. Like, get away from me. And it got to a point where, dude, I just, I'd had enough. Like, I was like, bro, I'm not in my house. I'm not loving on my kids. I'm not enjoying my life. I'm not hanging with my wife. I'm not doing the things I want to go do. I'm constantly being pulled. I mean, dude, I have a picture to this day of me sitting on the balcony of a cruise ship on a cruise. And I've got my coffee and I got my computer, my cell phone. And if you look at the computer screen, I'm on freaking truck stop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you're on a cruise.
You're on vacation, you're working,
And what's crazy is as a business owner, bro, I looked at it at that time. I was like, that was bragging rights for me as a business owner. Cause I'm like, look how dedicated I am to my business. In hindsight, I'm looking at it going, dude, what a poor bastard.
Yeah. Like, I've done the same shit.
Like, I can't believe you have to waste your time. And I noticed it the other day, we went to like 2 months ago. I went over to my neighbor's birthday party thing they were doing for the kids. And the dad, he works all the time too. Great guy, but he works all the time and he's always gone. And I was watching him, like I'm just sitting there at the party because my kids are enjoying hanging out with other kids. So I got no responsibility. It's not my party. It's not nothing. I'm just chilling. Right.
Right.
And I was watching the way he would just be on his phone, and he's home, but his mind's here, on whatever he's doing. And I just thought in my mind, like, bro, that was you. Yeah. Like, okay. Like I see now where I was and where I went wrong. And that it's like, so yeah, I just made the decision. I was like, bro, I'm never going to go to that mindset. And no matter what I do, bro, no matter what I do for work, no matter where I am, nothing. I refuse to ever put myself back in a situation.
That's where I'm at now too with my headspace is like, I've got to learn new techniques. I've got to learn new habits. I got to learn new, coping mechanisms to learn how to do all of those things, the family things, the eat right, the health things, the business things, the leadership things, all the things together cohesively. You know what I mean? You can't just be all in one thing, all in this thing. You got to have a life. You got to drink water. You got to fucking exercise. You got to get your mind right. You can't just be just business all the time. You got to have a wife. You got to have your kids. You got to have your shit. And then you also got to think, I want to enjoy life. Otherwise, what the fuck is it all for? You build a lot of people do that. They'll build the big brand, the big thing, and then they end up in divorce, or they end up, their kids don't like, what the fuck, he was gone all the time. Who gives a fuck, right? He wasn't present. When he was present, he wasn't present, And I know I do the same. I look at pictures and shit or whatever, and I'm like there, like I'm fucking, trying to chill with my kid or whatever, and I'm like in the phone, in the pictures and shit. And it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or you just like, yeah, and you don't even look, and you don't realize it until you realize it. And I'm in the same space you are right now, trying to get new habits, get new coping mechanisms, learn. It's just, you got to, I'm learning new information. That's all. I'm in the literally fucking learn new information phase because I didn't have the right information. I got the wrong fucking intel. You know what I mean? Military, you want to take, I got the wrong intel. I got bad. I went this way. That way fucking sucked. I'm not going to go do a bunch of different ways on my own. I want to go with motherfuckers who've been down the road. I heard David Goggins today. I don't know if you know who he is, but I seen him today. He said there's two ways to go in life. This way with like rest areas and like stops, and like it's all nice and paid and fucking, you got a map and it's all good to go. Then there's this other way. It's like fucking trees and roads, and there are no roads, trees and fucking bullshit and mountains, and you have a shovel, and it's like you're just fucking digging your path to make the road. And so he's like, am I a dick? And he's like, if someone's trying to go down this road that's never been done before, never been explored before, they're going to be fucking aggravated. And then when they see people driving by on the other road, like, oh, hey, dumbass, dickhead, whatever. And he said, you guys are soft as shit taking that path, then looking at my path and being like, that guy's crazy. Yeah, of course. He was like, basically, that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to look like an asshole because I'm over here and I don't have the patience to deal with you driving by with your fucking Doritos and your Coca-Cola just in your car, like waving. I'm over here trying to do some shitty. So that's always going to naturally come off like a dickhead. And I think that's the way it is, fuck it. I don't care. Like I've had a bunch of people that, like, I just dropped the video about me quitting drinking. Right. And, you were talking about that earlier where it was, but like people, there was an overwhelmingly good response of people being like, hell yeah, fuck, I needed to hear this. I'm suffering with the same shit. And some people were like, this shit makes me want to have a beer I'm drinking right now because you're fucking stupid, or you can't handle a drink because you're a pussy, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I just don't. I realized that,
bro. There's a difference though, bro. There's a difference between there's a difference with healthiness.
Yeah.
And there's a difference with like toxicity, dude. Like if you get to a point, like I'm telling you, man, when you're using the alcohol to cope,
yeah,
right. Think about it. I'm a truck driver. I got CDL, right? I can't do anything else. I can't jeopardize it on a drug test, but I could drink. Legals drink.
Exactly.
I could drink.
Yep.
And so then what do, right? And then here's the problem I have for sure, and I don't know if you do, but like if I get on that stuff, depending on what I'm drinking, depends on how you're going to get me.
Exactly.
And having having all these other things in my closet, bro, they start coming the fuck out, and then I get to a point where my whole demeanor will change, my attitude changes, my thought process changes. And my tolerance for you.
That's what I was saying in the videos. People like me and you just can't drink because we don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, we just don't. I walk in the room, I don't give a fuck at all, right? And so that's what I was saying. The other problem that I have is I can literally walk into a room anywhere and have a beer just at a bar with anybody. It don't matter. And my wife's always like, "This is bullshit." I can walk in anywhere and make friends. I don't give a fuck where you. I could be in fucking Afghanistan, dude. And I walk in and I don't even speak the same language, bro. I've been in so many just Spanish, different, whatever, doesn't matter, Spanish, whatever. And I'll just be like, hey, what's up, motherfuckers? And before you know it, I'm friends with everybody in the room. I done met all the coolest people. I done met the important people in the situation. And now they're inviting me to go somewhere else and over here and over here. I'm not really like someone to be like a fighter, although I've been in a lot of situations like that. My problem is who the fuck? I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm riding with. I'm at this point. It's like we're having a fun, good ride. Fuck it, send it. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. And then so it's that party atmosphere that can't slow it down. You know, like I always make a joke. Like I'm the kind of guy that could be fucking drinking in Nebraska, meet a couple of guys, get on a fucking plane and wake up in Miami. And I'm like, or Brazil or something, whoever the fuck, I don't even know how I got here. You know what I mean? And it's a joke. And people are like, that's stupid. It's not real. Yeah, well, when you hang out with motherfuckers, it can really happen. Because I've been in situations like that, you know?
Oh, I don't go that, like, I'm not that guy, but I'm definitely the guy that all the inner things I keep quiet about come out.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to a point where it's no holds barred. And
that's me too. I think because the last few times I had situations like that where I was just like, I think as I get older, my tolerance for bullshit is like nilch anymore. You know what I mean? Like it used to be, I had this, oh, well, you know, now I'm just like, if he comes over here, I'm not even going to fucking talk about it. Like he's just getting hit with a pool stick or whatever it is. Like, I don't care anymore. Like you decided to walk halfway across wherever it was to engage with what you thought was going to be easy, and it never is going to end up the way. And I make this joke with my family and friends, other humans, and I know because we've had this conversation, and you're the same way. I know who the type of guy you are. We've had talks, military, all that. People always think that their over is going to be way over my over, and they think they're untouchable. And it's until they meet somebody who's just way over, right? Like go outside, get the car, drive it through the bar. Right. You thought it was going to go your way, and we're in a different zone now. So, you know, that when you think like that, you just have to avoid people that are not thinking clearly, or they're, you know, in that frame of mind where they're drinking or whatever, because people always think they're this, you know, 10-foot tall guy when they get a substance in them. And I know we've had long talk about this stuff, but until they get to that point, till they meet somebody. And I actually heard 50 Cent say this. He's like, I was on some podcast and he was like, you know, I ask young guys all the time, you know, you wear your jewelry like that everywhere? Because they, you know, chains and stuff, and they're always like, I wear mine everywhere. And he's like, okay, so you got that energy. I'm this, you know, 50 Cent guy. He's like, you think that you go to another city, there's not another 50 Cent? There's not another guy just like you that could be bigger and better? You're the baddest, right? Great. How do you know you're not going to be met with equal energy? Same shit. Not even over your energy, but just equal. And you think it's going to be a walk in the park because you're just used to my energy is this aura of King Kong all the time. You don't think there's another King Kong nowhere? There's not another one nowhere, right? He said, so just as easy as you are to walk around showing it, they're ready to put in the energy to take it from you, because you know you got 500,000 around your neck, and that they're doing shit for $5,000 in some neighborhoods. It's nothing. It's way worse. They see 500,000, they're gonna be like, dude, that's got to go. I gotta have that. So when I heard that, I was like, man,
I just get to a point, bro, where I'm you know, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wasn't like, I'm not saying that I go like straight to drinking all the time or whatever, but I mean, when you're using that as your answer to like find a way to relax, because you have no, like, I had no other time to do shit. So it's like, if I got no other time to do it, I might as well sip this while I'm doing work, right? Or whatever. And it becomes a norm where it's like, you're going to this every time it's trying to find a relaxation. And it's that mindset of like going to something like that's not good for you, as you're like, you know, or food, right? It could be food. It could be lack of exercise. It could be sitting at home, watching movies, video games, whatever. But I think the definition, right? Like, I've been around tough fucking people for a long time. A lot of tough people, a lot of great people, but like tough people that are always, you know, out there trying to keep that image up or whatever it is. And the thing is, man, like the toughness, right? The true definition for me, when I define somebody as tough, I don't give a shit how loud the mouthpiece is or how awesome they look or whatever. To me, it's like, how much reflection in the mirror can you do?
They look at themselves and deal with it.
And how much figuring out can we do in the mirror? And then how much do you actually learn from that process? And then how do you implement that? Do you grow from that shit, or do you ignore the fact that you're even staring at somebody? And if you don't see nothing when you look in the mirror, other than what you think is amazing, if that's all you see, like, there's a difference between having positive energy and being completely fucking blind. And I think there's just a one of those things that, to me, man, it's like, I am much more cool with just accepting what I've like, but I will say this, in all the negative things that have happened, right? Owning my businesses and doing the things I did allowed me to step into the spheres I'm going into now. Yeah. Which never, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be going to it. And so it's kind of like, I respect what I've done. I'm damn proud of what we did. And I'm damn proud of the people we had, because they were amazing. but I'm also like, dude, this took me to this level. This allowed me to do this now. Now I'm getting in the door doing shit. If I had to go submit a resume and hang out with somebody and like be a normal applicant, probably would never even get in the door, because it wouldn't have been qualified. So, in hindsight, bro, I'm just happy that it was done. But man, I'm much more focused on now just chilling, like get the right job, do the right thing, chill.
I look back at that now too, like, because I joke around my wife or friends or whoever, family member. I was like, when I was a kid, it would have been nice to, instead of going into business, I've never really worked a job. I've always been employed for myself or have my own business. It would have been nice to go work for somebody else or travel the country or join the Navy, or, I wanted to go into special forces or become a firefighter, try all these different things first before going out and doing my own thing. Right. Because I could have learned from them, from the mistakes, and I could have learned high-level skills that would have played over. I wanted to be in special forces. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be travel the fucking country and just see different, or even the world, do other things. And then I look back at it now and I'm like, but if I didn't do business, it wouldn't have led me, like you said, to the doors that I'm open now, to the environments, to the situations that I've been in that gets you to the point where you're like, hey, I ended up here from that, or I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you can wish it coulda, woulda, shoulda, wanted to do all these things, and they would have been different. But who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude. I mean, you just shake your dice and hope like shit it lands.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what it is, man. So I mean, I'm just glad you're in a good space. I'm doing it. I'm just focused. I had wrong information. That's it, man. And I look back at it like, man, I wish I wouldn't have wasted all those nights chilling, drinking, whatever the hell I was doing. Not even just drinking, but just I feel like just time not learning, time not bettering yourself. Time not putting another badge on, time not getting new information, time not putting yourself in rooms with bigger, better people that are doing things you eventually want to be doing or whatever. I feel like that's time wasted, but never a better time than today. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at now, is just fucking get all the new information and create that habit constantly of, hey, we're willing to learn, go in new environments, around new people, around new places, and make that a lifelong habit. Is my goal. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like that. What's that song that comes on like where they're like, "Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years." Yeah. And it's like, that's exactly how I feel about the whole thing, man. It's like, when you make changes and when you come into situations, it's like, dude, I'm still in the trucking space.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something different now. And so it's like, and if not for nothing, it's going to show people like there's a way to move dynamically through the market into different things that can get you to different places or different aspects of the same industry you're in. And it's, like my dad watches me now and doing stuff, and he's just like, how the hell did that happen? And I'm like, bro, like if you stay with the mindset of driving the truck, you're only going to drive the truck.
Yeah, and you can only drive one truck. That's what I tell people. You can't drive the money I want to make. I can't drive 6 trucks at one time. So you have to think.
Yeah, and you got if you're dispatching and you only dispatch, that's all you're going to do. Right. And so it's like, you've got to find a way to like move yourself through an environment that.
Well, that's so funny that you bring that up though, because I was literally just talking to my buddy about this the other day, and he was not happy about his money he's making. And I'm like, as long as you're learning a new skill, you can be okay with making less money, because for what you give up in money, you're learning in a new skill, and you can't have both. You can't be paid high to learn new shit. Nobody's going to pay you a bunch of money to learn a new skill. Right. So I told him, I was like, just deal with it. Just put in the time now and think about where you're going to be a year from now. And yeah, you gave up all that money, but you're going to be so much further ahead with this new skill. And I'm in the same mindset as like, I'm willing to go fucking change tires. I'll start at the bottom up, but it just sucks because I'm giving up money, and I have to just be like, okay, some of the goals I had, I have to put off a little bit longer, because I want to get new information, new skills, and whatever. And that's just what you have to do, period. In order, you can have
the clear-minded move you're going to have now. And with all the things you've learned in hindsight, what it does, bro, is it opens up the peripheral.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were operating like this and I was operating like this, right? Like we're in our fixed view of what we think is right, what we pretend is correct, and what we operate within. And then as you as you get punched in the face, right? Like, it's just like being in a fight. If me and you are one-on-one, we're one-on-one until someone gets clocked in the side of the head. And then you're like, oh, what's over here? And then as soon as you step back and start looking, you start seeing, okay, dude, there's a dude on my left and a dude on my right and this dude in the center. Like, and so you start seeing all these different perspectives. And then there was a guy that told me, or I can't remember where I heard it, but he was talking about there's everybody's perception and then there's perspective. And understanding that perspective is literally the combination of everybody's perception and you being able to be 10,000 feet up and see everybody's perception. And then you actually gain a perspective. Right. And so for me, it's like when I had to get backtrack, I just had to go back to the core functions. Who do I want to be? Like, what do I want to do? What is going to make me happy? What it is that I want? And you're doing the same thing. But the crazy part about that, though, is when you take that step back, then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing opportunity you never saw before. You're going to start to see movements where you're like, bro, that's an opportunity. And before, because you were here, you would have 100 miles an hour right past it.
Right.
But because you're forced to slow it down, you might be like, ooh, that's a badass spot to go eat. Like, I should pull off in here. Oh, that's badass. I should talk to this person, or I should dive off in here. So I think there's a lot of growth that comes from slowing things down and taking a step back. I mean, I'm all for going 100 miles an hour. If you can go it, do it. And
that's like me. I'm a big proponent and believing that, a setback is just set up. That's all it is you're just taking a minute to breathe. And I don't think anybody, if you look at, the Rockefellers, the whoever the fuck, the Vanderbilts, the Cardones, everybody has had to have a minute to be like, okay, let's recalibrate. You know what I mean? Let's recalibrate and let's look at what we want to do now. Where's the trends going? Where do we want to go? Do we want to avoid this, that, whatever, But anyway, so where are you going now? What are you doing now? Like, what's the new mission? I know we talked about the YouTube channel, but like, where are you at now? What are you doing? What's the new mission?
So right now I am the business development manager at Operify Factoring. So, or Operify, it's Operation Finance, but it's a factoring company. So, I'm their business development manager now. Basically head up sales and bring in clientele, but I also, am doing some of the marketing stuff for them too. And then, just kind of playing, filling in that role, man. And then tackling a space that, for a long time, dude, I was just really disheartened by a lot of the shit I was seeing, like with different companies. Like I was getting tired of getting played over because in trucking, dude, the truck driver and the business owner always end up getting, the least end of the stick, right? We're always getting our asses kicked. And, it was one of those things that I wanted to make an impact wherever I went, right? And so I got offers for, brokerages and different companies and folks that, thought it would be good to bring me into different aspects. And I just didn't have any interest. And so I reached out to folks at Operify and started talking to them about, potential of making something work and coming over. And the more I started just, because I already knew they did good work. Like I've been following up with them and keeping up with them over the course of time, but I was never committed to it because I was running my own thing. And so when I got to that point where I could actually have a conversation with them, we just sat down and talked. And I was like, look, here's what I want to do. Here's what I think I can help with. Here's where I can impact it. And then they also have a different philosophy there, right? So the mindset, like I was telling you before, it's completely different. It's not focused on selling you, bullshit products and like trying to force things down your throat. It's like, you have these options to support yourself if you want, but we're going to reduce your rate, save you money by doing this on top of it, right? Bettering you and bettering the whole outcome as a result. And that was something that spoke to me because I'm like, dude, at least you're working to better the people you're working with. And that's something that, you're not a client number, you're not a client name. They're not big enough to have that. They don't, that's not the situation. They know every person, but then it's also like I was telling you, and I'm sure we'll go over in the future, but it's just advancing the business owner. And then as a result, it advances the factoring company and their business portfolio. And then they're also veteran owned, which is a big thing for me. And, they do a lot of veteran, relationships with other businesses and partnerships and deals and things. And that was something that I still have very core roots in. Like I'm very open about that. I'm still with that. And so, man, I decided to join them. And, the attitude was like, hey, let's be the number one military owned veteran supporting freaking factoring company in this space. And then on top of it, like, let's do people the right way. Like, let's make sure this happens correctly. And which I think they've been doing and living to that standard. And then it was just a good opportunity. And the crazy thing is I had other opportunities for other like typical things you would think of, like transportation supervisors and directors and just different positions that were cool. but like none of them spoke shit to me. Like it didn't, no gut feeling, no like this is right kind of thing. And so when I started talking with the Operify dude, it was just like, yeah, this is right. This is good. This feels good. They do good work.
Yeah,
Like,
I've heard a lot of good things about them even back in the day. I think they approached us before we ever got into our contract they were in, unfortunately. But we kind of looked at them and whatnot. But yeah, and I know I think my mentor Shaggy was working with them over too for a while. But I've seen a lot of their stuff on YouTube and different things. So that's awesome that you're moving that route, man, and making some things happen and making some things shake and stuff. So we'll look forward to that. We can put a link in the video and all that stuff, whatever, to get people headed your way, or however I don't know what you do, but however you got that going on, So I'm sure we'll get some stuff happening for it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it'll be cool, man. It's going to be nice because it's going to be a perspective to like I was talking about moving around the game, dude. It's going to be a different viewpoint to have more inside information than most people know. And that's the kind of the cool thing about it is like, dude, watching, like, I mean, I think you're running your business today, but dude, who knows what the hell you'll be doing in 2-3 years? Like, bro, I mean,
yeah, who knows, man? I mean, I think about it every day. Like, the same boat that you were in, I might get tired of it and flush it and do something else. It ain't like today I made 100 fucking sales calls, like I was telling you before. And it's like, dude, the shit's getting it was hard before. It's becoming impossible now. And there, everybody's a fraud and all the bullshit in the industry and where it's at today. You know what I mean?
It's nuts.
Dude, the industry's nuts. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, because, dude,
the fraud stuff is the number one problem. Yeah. Right. The fraud stuff is the number one problem. And there's a giant issue with when you have like these people that are, bro, I mean, to the point, we had somebody that came in frauding an LOR. Okay. But they weren't even at the company. Yeah. They stole someone's identity who was at the company as a client, modified and tried to fabricate an LOR to go to these massive brokerages so that they could invoice them directly from their address and just basically feed them a bunch of fake loads and get paid on the deal. And, it's crazy how creative they are, but it also shows you like there's a lot of regulation in a business that's not touching anything. Like there's a lot of excessive regulation.
Yeah. I don't think there's really I don't think in my personal opinion that they even know how to go after it. It's like credit card scams, right? Only like 7% of those even get caught or prosecuted over people who hack your credit cards, right? So, I mean, I think it's the same way in trucking. Like most of these companies that open up to do double brokering and things like that, they're overseas. It's an unenforceable crime. Like they can't even really go after them, So I think it's just it's insight and having the right intel on who's doing what. And I think the load boards need to stop perpetuating it too, because they're letting people get on those load boards and post and do things as both sides, brokers and carriers, and they're not vetting them enough till before they get access to that stuff. Dude,
we're finding double brokering stuff now for our clients. We're finding that double brokering stuff for the clients after, like, and before anybody else is, right? Before the broker did, before the trucking company did, before it got anywhere, before it went anywhere. And then the other thing is, like, so here's the other problem, right? A factoring company that finds out you got a double broker situation probably doesn't want to fund on it, right? And if they know it's double brokered, if they witness it double brokered, they just want to pause everything. They don't want to be involved, right? They're just going to let it pan out the old school way with a check, right? And they won't buy the invoice. What we're actually doing is we're turning around when those guys are when we're identifying those situations, we're actually reaching out to our clients and we're showing them how to partner up. And we'll take the time out of our day to actually step them through. Here's how we talk to the actual broker on that load. And let's get you paid the full rate. And let's get we'll note this dude is obviously a clown, right? This is a scam. But let's get you to the real person that actually moved that load, and let's get you settled up correctly, right? With the right broker or the right rate. And so what's ended up happening, dude, we found a couple clients where we were able to get them like $700 more on their load just because they had to go to their actual broker, the actual person that owned that load. And so that's that difference with like the mindset of growth with their company that I liked, because it wasn't a focus on just being a factoring company and issuing money and whatever. It's like, take that aspect of it. Like, that's great to do that, but like, let's build these clients to where a trucking company has a true back office support because you're paying these people to be the back office
Yeah,
support.
and that's the thing with most factoring companies is whenever they sell you on collections and they sell you on, you know, back office and they sell you on all that shit and they don't do it. You know what I mean? They just don't fucking follow through with it. So
no, most of them probably don't even reach out to, I bet you most of them probably don't reach out to clients till 35 days.
Yeah. And they don't do nothing but send an email. That's it. They literally don't do anything else. You know, send a fucking email. They don't call. They don't try to follow up. And you know, 2 emails. Like some of the ones I know, it's like a 2 email max. And if they don't get anything back, they're just like, well, we'll just charge you back. Fuck it. So we have to do our own collections anyway. So we're paying them a percentage, to get, you know, the money fronted, but they're not doing anything else. That's all they're doing is getting paid to front the money. They're not doing anything else. No other collections.
The other thing is, dude, you'd be shocked how undertrained a lot of them are, where they're just, you send in an invoice, there's no observation done. They just take it. Oh, there's a bill of lading. There's a rate con. There's this, put it together, send it, right?
Yeah.
They send it off to your broker. They don't know shit. So if the broker comes back and says, hey, there's a claim on this. Hey, there's a delay on this. Hey, there's a shortage on this. There's a delay for something on this. Then it comes back from that come back from the broker to the factor. What's the factor do? Nothing with the information at all other than to pester you as the business owner, where it's like, wait a minute, why didn't you take the due diligence steps when I submitted paperwork to you to do the due diligence, look over that paperwork, ensure what I'm sending you is accurate, find any discrepancies. But the thing is, you can't have people looking for discrepancies who have no actual knowledge of the business.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's where, you know, again, it's more of the same thing. It's same thing like, you know, with these big brokerages that are hiring brand new guys that don't know the load game. They don't know how to secure, right? Somebody telling you how to secure a combine that literally doesn't know how to set the brakes in the same semi he's talking to you about, right? Like that dude doesn't know shit. And so it's like that guy, that broker, in your mind, what do you think? This guy's an idiot, right?
Yep.
The same thing's done with factoring. And what happens is people find out that guy's an idiot or something went wrong. They find out all these problems, but they find them out after they've engaged in a contract they can't get out of.
Well, it's like we talked about too, is nowadays they're almost all the bigger companies, they're farming out because they can't keep the employee. They can't get enough employees and train them and meet all the legislation requirements in the States. So they're getting people out of state that they can have, you know, in Uzbekistan or wherever the fuck they're from. And that's who you get to deal with, people who have a major language barrier. And you talk about not know shit. These guys don't know dog shit. I mean, literally, what the fuck is a truck, right? And that's who you're dealing with on the other end of the phone to try to get, you know, your invoices and stuff processed or do you back. It sucks. It fucking sucks.
Well, it's crazy because we were, you know, I'm looking over some of these documents and I mean, just the way some headers, for example, and using like certain softwares, you can see that they've overlapped a fake stamp. Like I saw one where they overlapped a fake stamp onto a bill of lading to look like it was received stamp that was signed and stamped and secured and done. But they were just basically generating a blank invoice, right? A blank invoice or whatever they're coming up with, a fake rate con, matching it with a bill of lading and then throwing a fake stamp on it to look like it's been received and good. Well, if you send it to any of these major factors, they're going to send you the money before they even realize they got a problem. And so by the time they realize they got a problem, what do? These companies are gone. And so what you see is scamming from the level of being a broker. You see scamming from carrier side. You see scamming from both. I mean, like double brokering comes from carriers the same way it's coming from brokers. Then you see double brokering coming inside to the factoring companies. You see double brokering go into the brokers themselves. And it's like, there's so many people.
We booked a super load about 3 weeks ago that was triple brokered. And so it was with Landstar, of course, right? And we got it through those guys and come to find out who really had it and how we had to go recover it and deal with it in the whole 9 yards. It created a whole new mess of worms. But we ended up getting it all the way back to the top where it belonged. And we ended up executing on it and picking up the right rate and dealing with the right people and all the right stuff on it. But yeah, they were trying to take 10 off the top. Each company was trying to take, I mean, it was a $25, $30,000 load, but each company was trying to take fucking $5,000 for moving it on down the way. You know? So by the time we already got in there, and who knows how that would have worked out with someone not getting paid or us not getting paid at all. So, I mean, I'm glad we're smart enough to catch stuff like that. And we haven't been in the year, we've been doing this now almost a decade, and in my companies, we haven't really gotten screwed that bad. We've had companies go under, legitimate companies go bankrupt. They were legitimate companies, they go bankrupt, and they want to leave you hanging the bag with the factoring company. But we haven't really had the double broker bad situation. I mean, like you have a few occasional ones, but nothing that you can't catch, or maybe it did work out because, like the big, star corporations, whatever we'll call them, a lot of them, they teach double brokering in their damn, intern class, and they pay the bill, they get paid, and they pay the bill, and they take their cut, and they've been doing it for 100 years. So it's nothing new. But the ones that are out here, the shady characters that aren't paying, that's the ones you got to avoid. And we've been pretty good about avoiding those,
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things that I was like, dude, it's the same way I ran the YouTube channel, the same way I'm doing when I'm putting out the information, the same way I tried to do when I was running the company. It's like, you got to work with people that are going to take care of people legitimately. Otherwise they have no interest. Right. Yeah. And I told him, even when I came on with them, right, I was like, there were factoring companies left and right that want to pay me boatloads of cash because I was literally sitting there, and they were like, just push us, please push us. And I'm like, yeah, number one, I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. And then, I don't want to sit there and make that kind of relationship. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I wanted to work somewhere I knew legitimately. Hey, I can go to bed at night knowing I'm actively doing something that legitimately freaking matters, and that there's people who are actively changed. That was another big question I had when I came in, was like, how well trained are these people? How many staff do you have? Why do you have this many people? Are they actually doing their job? Do they actually know what they're talking about? Have they actually been in this industry? Do they know what they're looking at? And because the thing is, it's like, dude, I dealt with a major factoring company when I was in, and I dealt with a smaller factoring company. And to be honest, like, the major factoring company treated me like a corporate client, and the smaller factoring company, did really well with the customer service, but missed a lot of things where I was like, bro, plain as day. Like, if they're sending you a rate con and it says commodity oranges, what capacity would that be going shipped on? And then if they turn around and you see them sending you bill of lading from a steel manufacturer, okay, we got a problem here. Somebody's doing something, like, nobody's moving oranges out of a steel plant. Like, let's get real. Right. And so there's just a lot of things where they miss them all the time, man. And it's until they get to a point where, I think the biggest part of it's the education factor, right? So, like, getting a carrier to understand that you do not need to be on this load board. We do not need to rely to running spot market freight, right? Let's get on contract freight. Let's get on the locked in shit with the real customers that actually exist. Granted, your diversification goes down quite substantially, but the solidification of business, year on year, month after month, like, that grows. And so it's like, how do we better prepare guys to understand how to find those customers, where they can find the customers, and then where do you find the results? Like, you were just talking about trying to find clients. And what are these guys telling you when you come at them as a carrier? They don't want any piece of it because they got so many other people trying to hound them. And so it's like, when those things happen, you got to get creative, and we got to find better ways to find legitimate customers and clients. And I think that that's also one of the big things too with my attitude with the YouTube thing, is I want to make it a referral platform for a lot of things. So it's like, hey, somebody in the game that's looking for this, let's refer this. Like, let's build a community around that and then push that and see if we can't internally, as our own trucking companies or prior trucking companies, whatever, like, just come together and be able to share information on our own good old boy network so we can actually move things. But I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to see what happens, because I know it's going to be an election year, like, coming up, and it's
it's going to be crazy, dude. It's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, a little slowdown.
You kind of have to remain optimistic. Out through the holidays, there's going to be more companies go under. We're hearing, like, I just heard MeadowArk or whatever went out. I mean, they're every other day. They're either getting bought out or they're closing or filing bankruptcy or whatever. And, we just got to survive it and make it to the other side. And I think the optimism will come back. We'll see. I'm pretty optimistic about it. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, you're weathered, bro. You're weathered. You're able to, what a storm looks like, and you've been through enough of them where you can be able to handle it. Like,
that's the goal. I mean, we're just hoping we're coming out on the other side when a lot of people aren't. I had somebody tell me the other day, I'm like, dude, you got to realize we're in one of the greatest freight recessions we've ever fucking seen. And, you know, yeah, I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth, but I'm okay with that for right now. Like, it doesn't bother me. You know, I would love to be doing more. And I mean, we're just focusing on mind, body, health, spirituality, all the bullshit, as well as just sales, getting better at getting and acquiring clients every fucking day. If you're not doing that, you're not gonna be able to compete with us, you know? And I'm trying to compete just to stay in the ball game. And I can't compete with the big machines, the TQLs, the Landstars, the Trinities, the whoever. I can't compete with them. So we're just doing the best we can to compete at our level and where we're at. You know, that's all you can fucking do.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, and then, you know, just being wise about decisions you make. And then, you know, just, I mean, but we talked about, bro, sometimes finding just that you're breathing and you're existing, that sometimes that's all that matters.
That's all. And that's all you got. And that's all you can do. And that's good enough, because you can't, you know, I could be all bummed out that we had that huge contraction. I could be all bummed out about this. Fuck, you know, all I'm doing is going back to the drawing board, fixing it from the top down, putting the pieces that we didn't have before, learning what those pieces even fucking are, and then executing and moving forward, you know? But hey, man, I know you got a million places to be. You know, I appreciate you coming on, man. Being this is the first platform you decided to say, hey, I'm gonna go do some shit. And whether you have a trucking company or you're with Op for Fire, you're building fucking houses or widgets or whatever, you know, having OnlyFans, we love you. We love to have you on, and we want to definitely keep, you know, track of the journey. So try, you know, whenever you're ready to tap in and show us whatever you're doing, even if it's the next thing or this thing, whatever we want to stay in the loop, man, for sure. So I definitely appreciate that. Happy late Veterans Day. I know that just happened, right?
No, you're good, dude.
Fucking forgot about that, dude. And I actually, my dad, who told me, and he's a Vietnam guy, he was like, you know, today's Veterans Day. I was like, dude, I don't know. I'm like, what is it? Sunday, Monday? I don't even know what fucking day it is. You know?
Oh, he knows, man. He's like, yeah, get your shit together.
Right, get your shit together, man. So I appreciate you coming on here. Where are they going to find you now? Because did you turn your Instagrams and all that back on, your Facebooks and shit, or just YouTube yet?
All the YouTube stuff's on, and that's under The Real Hauling Cash, and then Instagram's back on, TikTok's back on, and then obviously, like, through Operify, you'll be able to find me through there, or you can just call Operify and you can get a hold of me there too. But I mean, I'm going to try and make myself over the next, you know, like I said, the channel is going to be kind of like dormant for about a month or so while we put the content together that's going to be, you know, bulleted and direct. And then, but, you know, in the meantime, though, Instagrams and TikToks and all that stuff, everybody can reach out. I'm active on these things again, but it's, much. And there's times though, man, like, so if you message me and shit, like, I do turn my phone off for legitimately now. So
right.
It's
for the right reasons.
Yeah. All the right reasons, bro. So,
well, yeah, man,
certainly appreciate it, man.
We look forward to doing. We're gonna have you back on here again. We'll be over there with you guys too, and just, you know, trading back and forth. And we look forward to it, man. You guys go check out Operify. You guys go check out. You guys know where to find him. You know who he is. We're excited. He's back. Let's go. Appreciate it, man.
See you, brother. Bye.